The box says all natural and it looks healthy, but do you really know what's in that food that you're eating? Lots of times, even the healthiest looking foods have so-called hidden ingredients, things like sugar and fat and salt that you wouldn't expect. So how do you really sort out what you're eating? With us today to help us do that is Susan Fedoris, a mother of children who have some special dietary needs, and Susan counsels families on teaching them how to read labels and really figure out what they're eating. So Susan, thanks for being with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
I think one of the hardest things is all the claims on the labels, especially my favorite, all natural. How do you really know?
It is hard to know, and all natural is something we're seeing on so many packages today.
We really do.
We really do. And take whole grain corn, for example. It's a plant, it's nutritious, it should be great for us. But once that corn is refined and the sugar is extracted, it becomes high fructose corn syrup. Just sugar.
And that's really just sugar.
And not that healthy for us.
Yeah, so something could have lots of sugar in it, but it could still say all natural.
Right.
And so we're sort of tricked into believing that it's a health food, but really we're just eating a lot of sugar. Yeah. I guess the message is that we just really need to read the labels.
We do. It's so important. And, you know, the most important thing to do is not just read the labels, but understand how they're written. You know, the ingredients are listed in their order of abundance in the food. Okay. So if sugar ends up, or high fructose corn syrup is second or third on the list, then you know that that food has a lot of sugar in it.
Okay, same goes for salt and fat and all the other things. So you want to start at the beginning and look, and that's a really important tip. I think, why don't we start out by talking about some of the ingredients that we want to sort of watch out for.
That's a great idea.
Let's start with sugar, and we have some items here that things that you wouldn't expect to necessarily have a lot of sugar, but in the end they do.
They do. Yeah. The sugar, it can be seen in a lot of different forms, especially some really common names like honey, for example, maple syrup. It's all natural, but it is sugar.
It's still sugar, right? Okay. How about some of the other names for sugar?
Well, we have some other words here. We call this the OS family. And we'll have fructose, sucrose, lactose, glucose, and maltose. Those are just sugars, and we'll see them a lot, often broken out in the ingredient list.
You do see these a lot on labels, and I think a lot of people don't realize that these are, in effect, just sugars. Yeah. The other thing is sugar alcohols.
Right, and those are used a lot in calorie-free foods or fat-free foods, and again, they're often broken out separately from the other sugar that might be listed on the label. And we have sorbitol, xylitol, mannitol, and maltitol.
Okay, and again, complicated sounding things.
They are.
Yeah,
they're
but
just sugar.
End, they're just sugar. Okay.
And you know, we can have some sugar, Beth. It's just we need to be careful how much. So reading the label and understanding it is really important.
Right. Let's go through some of the foods that we might not expect to have sugar in them.
All right, we have cereal here, which of course we think there might be some, but sugar is actually going to be the second or third ingredient on this list.
Okay. All right.
Crackers. We don't think of crackers as having sugar.
No, you certainly wouldn't, especially not reduced fat crackers. But sugar's what, like fourth or fifth on the list in a lot of boxes of crackers?
Right.
Okay.
A lot of condiments, dressings.
Yeah, ketchup is a big one. Corn syrup, one of the main ingredients in that. This one, you said condiments, dressings. Salad dressings as well. And this one, this is one of my favorite, pasta sauce.
Right.
You wouldn't think, but that also has a lot
That's
of
right,
sugar.
and again, second or third ingredient.
Okay. What else do we have?
We have some peanut butter here, which, again, peanut butter ought to be peanuts and maybe a little salt for some who like that flavoring. But we're seeing high fructose corn syrup and other sugars right
as like the second
and
ingredient.
Third.
Yeah, yeah.
And even these natural
kind
of products. Yeah, the
granola bars.
They should just have oats and grains, and instead they have the sugar.
Corn syrup. Yeah, same thing with a lot of the teas and things that we see today, and even some so-called healthy things like hummus have added sugar. How about salt? We have a lot of things that have extra sodium.
We do. Yeah, that's right. And sodium is the ingredient that we're looking for for salt.
All right. And generally, we're supposed to have about 2,400 milligrams a day as a guideline. And some of these items have like 1,000 milligrams of sodium in
They
them.
do. And a lot of people, I think, get a little misled because there's 2,400 milligrams per day, not per serving or even per meal.
Okay.
So, for example, a soup, if you have 1,000 milligrams, you've really, have had a lot of salt for that day, and you haven't even, gotten past lunch possibly.
Right. Certainly all the packaged junk
Right.
foods, so to speak, the snack chips and things. And then frozen dinners, even the so-called healthy
Right.
frozen dinners, lots of sodium in those. And all the prepackaged lunch items that we send to school with our kids, again, lots of extra sodium.
Yeah, they really do.
How about fat? Fat is a big one.
It is a big one. It's something we're all talking about and hearing about, and the primary fat that we're concerned with is trans fats.
Okay, all right. And that's the kind of fat that adds to your bad cholesterol, and they take away that so-called heart protective HDL, good cholesterol. So how do we know if something has trans fat?
The main ingredient we're looking for there is either hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils. So if we see that on the product, then we know it has trans fats.
I do read labels a lot myself, and I see the hydrogenated oil all the time.
Right.
All the time.
And if it's second or third, again, you want to pass on that.
Okay, all right. Many companies are now putting the trans fat free on their label, but that doesn't mean that it still doesn't have some fat, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. Let's go through a few of these items that we have here. Crackers, again, hydrogenated oils on them a lot. Some packaged puddings, certainly margarine, cookies, snack foods, and all of those things. And again, the things that generally tend to have the trans fat are the really processed baked goods and things like that we want to watch out for. We do want to note that there are some good kinds of fats.
Yes, there are.
And those are things like the avocados and nuts and things like that are important. If you have a child like you do who has some special dietary needs, give us some quick tips in just 30 seconds or so to tell us how to start reading labels and watching out for things.
I'll tell you, my 9-year-old, who is gluten-free, knows how to read a label already and how to ask questions, which is great. Take them shopping. Work with them in the home. And my older daughters actually get reinforcement at school in science and health class, so that's been great. So they're learning it all over, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, so it's something that you really need to involve the entire family.
That's right.
And bottom line, Susan, the takeaway message is you got to read what
you do.
You got to read the label.
Right.
You absolutely have to look. You can't rely on the claims on the boxes or the bags. So thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
For more information, we want to invite everybody to visit our website. That's www.pottstownfoundation.org. Lots of the foods that we eat have so-called hidden ingredients, things like sugar and fat and salt in foods that we wouldn't necessarily suspect. The only way to truly know what you're eating is to read the label. Don't go by claims on boxes or bags like all natural, and look for code names for things like corn syrup for sugar or hydrogenated oil for fat. Visit our website for more information, www.pottstownfoundation.org.